A woman's voice cuts through the howling blizzard. Who dares walk the land of the Lakota in this storm? Snow swirls around her as she grips her bow, staring at a shadow collapsing in the distance. Her name is Tala, a Lakota woman with a past full of secrets. In the heart of a deadly winter, she faces a choice that could change everything: save a stranger and risk her people's safety, or let the snow bury him forever. One decision sparks a fire that could save or destroy two nations. Keep watching to find out what Tala chooses and how her courage lights the way. Picture the Dakota Territory in the 1870s, where winter bites like a wolf, snow blankets the Great Plains, and the wind sings a song of survival. Here, near a Lakota Sioux village, people fight to keep their way of life. Settlers push closer, and the U.S. Army casts a long shadow. But the Lakota stand strong, their hearts tied to the land, their spirits woven with the stars. Meet Tala, a Lakota woman in her late 30s. She's a master with a bow, her arrows as true as her spirit. Tala lives alone in a small tipi far from the village where the snow glows softly around her home. Years ago, settlers took her husband and daughter in a brutal raid. Now, she carries a quiet grief, but her strength burns bright. Tala lives by the Lakota belief: Mitakuye, Oyasin, all are related. It guides her even when doubt creeps in. Tala's not alone in this story. Her younger brother Koda is a warrior with fire in his eyes. He checks on her but respects her need for solitude. Koda dreams of fighting for his people, a symbol of the young generation's hope. Then there's Elias Walker, a Cheyenne scout wounded and haunted. He fled the army after seeing a massacre. He couldn't stop. His heart heavy with guilt, Colonel Harlan, a cold army officer, hunts Elias, bringing danger to native lands. And Makawi, a wise Lakota elder, teaches Tala the power of forgiveness and the strength of community. The Lakinra know the land like a friend. They dance with the seasons, pray under the stars, and face hardship with courage. But Tala's choice to live apart is both her shield and her burden. Her tipi, painted with sacred symbols, stands as a quiet rebellion against her pain. One night, as the storm rages, Tala hears a sound. She steps outside, bow in hand, and finds Elias collapsed in the snow, barely alive. Will she save this stranger and invite danger, or turn away and protect her solitude? Her next step will change everything. The storm roars like a wounded beast, shaking the Great Plains with its fury. Snow falls thick, swallowing the world in white. Tala stands inside her tipi, the fire casting shadows on the walls painted with Lakota symbols. She listens to the wind, her bow resting by the door. This is no ordinary night. The air feels heavy, like it carries a warning. Tala's heart beats steady, but her eyes are sharp. She knows the land, and tonight it whispers of trouble. A sound breaks through the storm's howl. Not the crack of a branch or the cry of a wolf, but something softer, heavier. A thud like a body hitting the ground. Tala freezes her hand, reaching for her bow. She pulls her buffalo robe tight around her shoulders and steps to the door. The cold bites her face as she peers into the blizzard. There, near the edge of her tipi's clearing, something lies in the snow, a shape dark against the white, still as death. Tala's first thought is danger. Strangers bring trouble, always have. She's seen too many lives lost to trust easily. Her village. The Lakota Sioux has fought hard to survive, settlers and soldiers, and this stranger could be one of them. Or worse, a Cheyenne from a neighboring tribe with old grudges. The Lakota and Cheyenne have clashed before, their alliances fragile. Tala grips her bow tighter, her breath clouding in the freezing air. She could turn back, let the storm claim him. No one would know. But then she hears it, a faint groan, weak and desperate. The sound pulls at her like a thread tied to her heart. Tala knows the Lakota way, the teaching of Mitakuye, Oyasin, all are related. Every life is sacred, connected to the earth, the sky, the spirits. To let this stranger die would be to turn her back on that truth. She curses under her breath, not at the cold, but at herself. Her heart wins over her fear. She steps into the storm snow, stinging her cheeks, and moves toward the figure. The man lies crumpled, his body half buried in snow. His face is pale, lips blue, blood crusted on his brow. His clothes, a mix of leather and torn, army cloth, are frozen stiff. Tala kneels beside him, her fingers brushing his cheek. He's alive, barely. His chest rises and falls, shallow and uneven. She looks closer and sees a Cheyenne bead pattern on his belt, confirming her suspicion. A Cheyenne man far from his people, dying on Lakota land. Why here? Why now? Tala's mind races. Saving him could bring danger to her village. The army hunts runaways, and a Cheyenne this far north might be running from something big. If soldiers come, they won't care who gets in their way. Her people have suffered enough. Their tipis burned, their buffalo slaughtered. Tala's own scars from the raid that took her husband and daughter ache at the thought. She could walk away, let the snow hide her choice. No one would judge her. Survival demands hard decisions. Yet Tala can't move. She sees her daughter's face in her mind, smiling under the stars, asking why the world hurts so much. Tala taught her that compassion is strength, that the Lakota honor life. Even when it's hard, to abandon this man would betray that lesson, betray her daughter's memory. Tala sets her jaw. Her decision made. She grabs the man's arms and pulls her boots slipping in the snow. He's heavy, his body limp, but Tala is strong. She drags him toward her teepee, the storm fighting her every step. Inside, the fire's warmth feels like a blessing. Tala lays the man near the flames, his groans faint but steady. She shuts the door, blocking the wind, and kneels beside him. Her hands move quickly, pulling off his ice-crusted jacket. Blood seeps from a gash on his side, and his fingers are raw from frost. Tala grabs a cloth and a bowl of melted snow, her movements sure but gentle. She's done this before, tended wounds after battles, but this feels different. This man is a stranger, yet his life is in her hands. As she cleans the blood from his face, Tala's fingers brush against a small leather pouch tied to his belt. She pauses, her curiosity stirring. The pouch is Cheyenne, woven with beads in a pattern of stars and rivers. It's a medicine pouch sacred to his people, meant to carry prayers or protection. Why would a man carry this through a storm? What is he running from? Tala sets the pouch aside, careful not to disturb its contents. It's not her place to open it, but its presence sparks questions she can't ignore. The man stirs his lips, moving. Tala leans closer, straining to hear. His voice is weak, cracked from cold. Fire in the valley, he mumbles. Blood on the snow. His words are disjointed, fevered, but they send a chill down Tala's spine. A fire in the valley could mean a massacre, a raid, or something worse. She's heard stories of army attacks on Cheyenne villages, of flames swallowing homes. Is this man a survivor? A witness or something else? Tala sits back, her mind heavy with doubt. The Lakota value compassion even for outsiders. Mitakuye Oyasin teaches that all beings are part of the same circle, that helping one strengthens all. But compassion has a cost. If she saves this man, she risks her village's safety. Soldiers could come, or worse, the Cheyenne might see her act as meddling, stirring old tensions. Tala's isolation has kept her safe, her tipi a fortress against the world. Now this stranger threatens to crack that shield. She looks at the man's face softer now, in the firelight. His breathing steadies as the warmth reaches him. Tala thinks of her husband, who once said the Lakota survive by holding fast to their values even when the world tries to break them. She thinks of her daughter, who believed every life mattered, even the smallest. Tala's grief is a quiet weight, but it fuels her strength. She chooses to act not out of weakness, but because she refuses to let fear win. Tala works faster now, her hands steady as she binds the man's wounds with strips of cloth. She boils herbs, a Lakota remedy her mother taught her, and presses them against his side. The teepee fills with the sharp scent of sage and cedar, a prayer in itself. She covers him with a buffalo blanket, its weight a promise of protection. The storm outside rages on, but inside Tala creates a small haven. She doesn't know this man's name, his story, or his sins, but she knows he's alive because of her. As she sits by the fire, watching his chest rise and fall, Tala feels a shift inside her. Saving this stranger is more than an act of duty. It's a spark, a challenge to her solitude, her pain. The Cheyenne pouch lies on the ground, its beads catching the firelight. What secrets does it hold? What fire in the valley drove this man to her door? Tala's choice has set something in motion, something bigger than herself. The storm may hide them for now, but morning will bring answers, and with them danger. The Lakota say every choice ripples across the circle of life. Tala's decision to save this man is a stone thrown into a still lake. The waves are coming, and they will test her courage, her heart, and her people. Will she stand by her choice, or will the cost be too high? The fire in her teepee burns bright, but outside the storm waits, and so does the truth. The storm has quieted, but a new tension fills the air. Dawn breaks over the Dakota Territory, painting the snow in shades of gold. Tala's teepee stands firm. Its buffalo hide walls glowing softly in the morning light. Inside the fire crackles, and the stranger she saved, the Cheyenne man, begins to stir. His name is Elias, and his presence is like a stone dropped into a still pond. The ripples are spreading, and Tala feels them deep in her bones. Elias opens his eyes, his face pale but alive. He looks at Tala, who sits across the teepee, her bow within reach. The silence between them is heavy, not with anger, but with questions. Tala offers him a bowl of warm broth, her movements careful like she's testing the ground beneath her. Elias takes it, his hands trembling, and whispers, "Thanks." His voice is rough, like gravel, but there's a strength in it. Tala nods, her eyes sharp. She wants answers, and she wants them now. Elias sips the broth, then speaks his words slow but clear. He was a scout for the U.S. Army, hired to guide soldiers through Cheyenne lands, but everything changed in a valley far south. The Army attacked a Cheyenne village, one filled with women, children, and elders. Elias watched as soldiers set teepees ablaze, as screams filled the air. He was ordered to join the slaughter to prove his loyalty, but he couldn't. He refused, turning his back on the Army, and ran. Now, Colonel Harlan, a man with ice in his heart, hunts him, calling him a traitor. Tala listens, her face still as stone, but her heart twists. She knows the pain of loss of fire, stealing what you love. Her husband and daughter died in a settler raid, their teepee burned to ash. Elias's story cuts deep, but it also raises a wall. He's Cheyenne, not Lakota, and old tensions between their tribes linger. His presence could draw Harlan's men to her village, putting her people in danger. Tala's choice to save him feels heavier now, like a weight she didn't expect to carry. The teepee door flaps open, and Kota, Tala's younger brother, steps inside. His warrior braid swings as he scans the room, his eyes narrowing at Elias. Kota's voice is sharp, like a blade. He tells Tala the village is buzzing with whispers. Some saw her drag a stranger through the snow, and now the elders are restless. Sheltering a Cheyenne, especially one hunted by the Army, could bring soldiers to their doorstep. Kota respects Tala's strength, but he warns her the village fears retaliation, and fear makes people cruel. Tala stands her jaw tight. She knows the Lakota way. The teaching of Mitakuye, Oyasin, all are related, but she also knows her people struggle. The Army has burned their teepees, driven away their buffalo, and left scars on their hearts. Kota says the elders want to meet to decide what to do with Elias. Some call him a threat, a spark that could ignite a fire they can't put out. Tala feels the weight of their fear, but she refuses to bend. She saved Elias because it was right, and she won't let him die to ease their worries. Later that day, Tala walks to the village, leaving Elias to rest. The council gathers in a large tipi, its walls painted with stories of the Lakota's past. The air is thick with smoke and tension. Elders sit in a circle, their faces lined with worry. Dakota stands by the door, his spear in hand, watching Tala with pride and concern. The chief, a man with eyes like a hawk, speaks first. He says, "The army is close, their tracks spotted by scouts near the river. If Elias stays, soldiers will come, and blood will stain the snow." Makawi, the village's wise woman, raises her hand. Her voice is soft, but carries the weight of years. She reminds them of Mitakuye Oyasin of the Lakota, belief that all life is connected. To turn Elias away is to turn away from their own hearts. Makawi looks at Tala, her eyes warm but firm. She says, "Compassion is not weakness, but a fire that can light the way." Some elders nod, but others shake their heads, their fear louder than her wisdom. Tala steps forward, her voice steady. She says Elias is no threat, that he fled to save his soul, not to bring harm, but the council is divided, and no decision is made. Back at her tipi, Tala finds Elias sitting up, his strength returning. The fire casts shadows on his face, softening the lines of guilt he carries. Tala sits across from him, the silence between them, different now, less guarded. She asks why he kept running, why he didn't fight back. Elias looks into the flames and tells her about his sister, lost in the massacre. She believed in forgiveness, in healing, through love, not hate. Her memory kept him alive, but it also haunts him. He couldn't save her, and that failure burns deeper than any wound. Tala's heart softens, though she hides it. She tells Elias about her daughter who loved Lakota star stories. Every night they'd lie under the sky, tracing constellations, laughing as the stars whispered tales of heroes and spirits. Her daughter's favorite was the story of the white buffalo woman who brought the Lakota their sacred pipe and taught them to live in harmony. Tala's voice cracks as she speaks, but she doesn't stop. Sharing this memory feels like opening a door she's kept locked for years. Elias listens, his eyes steady. He shares a Cheyenne tale, one his sister loved. It's about a warrior who lost everything but found peace by forgiving his enemies. The warrior's heart became a river flowing with strength, not anger. Tala feels a connection growing like a thread weaving their stories together. They've both lost, both carried pain, but they're still here, still fighting. The fire between them burns brighter, and for the first time Tala doesn't feel alone. Outside, the horizon glows with danger. Scouts return with grim news. Army campfires flicker in the distance, their light a warning of what's coming. Harlan's men are closing in their tracks fresh in the snow. Tala and Elias face a choice: stay and risk the village, or flee and face the storm alone. Tala knows running means leaving her people to face the army's wrath. Staying means fighting not just for Elias, but for the Lakota way, for Mitakuye Oyasin. Her heart tells her to stand, but her mind warns of the cost. Dakota visits again, his face tense. He says, the village is splitting apart. Some want to hand Elias over to buy peace with the army. Others, moved by Makawi's words, want to protect him, to show the world the Lakota's strength. Dakota begs Tala to think of the village of the children who could die if soldiers come. Tala loves her brother, but she can't betray her choice. She tells him, Elias is part of the circle now, and abandoning him would break it. Dakota leaves his silence louder than words. Tala sits by the fire, her bow across her lap. She thinks of her daughter, of the stars of the white buffalo woman's promise, the Lakota value community, the strength of many hearts beating as one. But community means sacrifice, and Tala feels the weight of it. She's fought alone for so long, her tipi, a shield against the world. Now Elias's presence challenges that shield, pulling her back to her people, to their shared struggle. She wonders if she's strong enough to carry this burden, to risk everything for a stranger she barely knows. Elias watches her, his eyes clear despite his pain. He offers to leave to face Harlan alone. He says he's brought enough trouble that he doesn't want her village to suffer. Tala shakes her head. She tells him running solves nothing that the Lakota face. Their fears not hide from them. Her words surprise her like they come from a deeper place, a place where her daughter's laughter still echoes. Elias nods a quiet respect in his gaze. They're in this together now, whether they like it or not. The village council meets again, the air thick with urgency. Makawi speaks of unity, of the fire that burns in every Lakota heart. But fear is a powerful enemy, and some elders demand Elias be turned over. Tala stands before them, her voice like a river, calm but unstoppable. She says, "Mitakuye, Oyasin is not just words but a way of life." If they abandon Elias, they abandon themselves. Her words sway some, but not all. The council agrees to give Tala 1 day to decide, keep Elias and prepare for war, or send him away and pray for peace. As night falls, Tala and Elias sit by the fire, the weight of tomorrow pressing down. The army's campfires glow closer like eyes in the dark. Tala feels the pull of her people, her past, and the stranger who's no longer a stranger. She's fought for survival, for solitude, but now she fights for something bigger. The Lakota way teaches that every choice matters, that one spark can light a fire or burn a village to ash. Tala's choice will shape the future for her, for Elias, for her people. Will she risk everything for a man she barely knows, or will fear win, breaking the circle she's sworn to protect? The stars above shine bright, watching, waiting. Tala's heart beats with the rhythm of the land, the pulse of her ancestors. The fire in her tipi burns steady, a promise of warmth, of hope. But outside the cold waits, and so does Colonel Harlan. The truth is coming, and with it a fight Tala can't avoid. What will she choose, and what will it cost? The answer lies in the snow, in the fire, in the heart of a Lakota woman who refuses to break. The sun hangs low over the Dakota Territory, casting long shadows across the snow. Tala's teepee stands like a lone sentinel, its firelight flickering against the growing dark. Inside, Tala and Elias sit in silence, the weight of the village's debate pressing down. The army is close, their campfires glowing like wolves' eyes on the horizon. Tala's heart is a storm, torn between her duty to her people and the stranger she chose to save. But the storm is about to break, and with it a truth that changes everything. Koda bursts through the teepee's flap, his face tight with urgency. His warrior braid swings as he kneels beside Tala, his voice low but sharp. He's been searching Elias's belongings, not out of malice, but fear for the village. His hand trembles as he pulls out a folded piece of leather, worn and stained. Tala's breath catches. She knows that look in her brother's eyes, the kind that comes before a fight. Koda unfolds the leather, revealing a map, its edges frayed, its surface marked with crude ink drawings. The sight of it feels like a blade to her chest. Tala takes the map, her fingers brushing the rough surface. It's a military map, stolen from the army, and its lines tell a story of destruction. Red marks dot the Great Plains, each one a Lakota or Cheyenne village circled like prey. Arrows show planned attack dates scrawled in a soldier's hand. Tala's eyes trace the marks, her heart pounding. Her own village is there, a small dot near the river, doomed to fire and blood. The Cheyenne villages are marked too, their names written in a language that doesn't belong here. This map is a death sentence for thousands. Elias watches, his face pale, his hands clenched. He doesn't speak, but his eyes plead for understanding. Koda's voice cuts through the silence. "Accusing," he says. Elias brought this curse that his presence endangers them all. If Colonel Harlan recaptures Elias, this map will fall into his hands, and every village marked will burn. Lakota's anger is afire, but beneath it, Tala sees his fear, not just for himself, but for the children, the elders, the future of their people. He begs Tala to act to send Elias away before it's too late. Tala's mind races the map heavy in her hands. She saved Elias because of Mitakuye, Oyasin, the Lakota belief that all are related, that every life is sacred. But now her choice is no longer about one man. It's about her people, her village, and the Cheyenne who share this land. The map is proof of the Army's plans, a weapon that could save lives if used wisely, but it's also a beacon drawing Harlan's men closer. Tala feels the weight of her decision like a boulder on her chest. One wrong move and everything she loves could turn to ash. She looks at Elias, searching his face for truth. He speaks, his voice steady, despite the pain in his eyes. He stole the map after the massacre, risking his life to keep it from Harlan. He meant to warn the Cheyenne to give them a chance to fight, but the storm trapped him, and now he's brought danger to Tala's door. Elias says he'll leave, destroy the map if she asks, but his words carry a quiet plea. He trusts her, not just with his life, but with the lives of his people. Tala feels that trust, like a spark igniting something deep within her. The tipi is silent, the fires crackle, the only sound. Tala stares at the map, its lines blurring as her thoughts collide. Destroying it would keep her village safe, hiding them from Harlan's gaze. No map, no proof, no reason for soldiers to come. But it would mean turning her back on the Cheyenne, on the women and children. Elias spoke of the ones who died in flames. It would mean letting the Army's plans stay hidden, letting them strike again. Tala's heart aches at the thought. She thinks of her daughter, who believed in protecting others even at a cost. The other choice is riskier, bolder. Tala could keep the map, use it to warn the Cheyenne and other Lakota villages. She could send runners, spread the word, and prepare for the fight. The map is evidence, a way to rally the tribes to show the world the Army's cruelty, but keeping it means exposing her village, drawing Harlan's wrath. The soldiers are close, their tracks fresh in the snow. If they find Elias, or if Tala sends the map too late, the red marks will become graves. The choice is hers, and it feels like standing on the edge of a cliff. Tala closes her eyes, her breath slow and deep. She hears Makawi's voice in her mind, the wise woman's words from the council. Compassion is a fire, Makawi said, one that can light the way or burn everything down. Tala thinks of her husband, who fought for their people until his last breath. She thinks of her daughter, who loved the stars and believed in the goodness of the world. Mitakuye Oyasin is not just a belief, but a promise, a circle that holds all life together. Tala's choice will either strengthen that circle or break it. She opens her eyes, the map still in her hands. Elias watches his face, a mix of hope and fear. Kota stands by the door, his spear ready, his eyes pleading for her to choose the village. Tala feels their gazes, but she also feels the land beneath her, the pulse of the Great Plains. The Lakota have survived by facing hard truths, by standing tall when the world tries to crush them. Tala's solitude has been her shield, but now she must decide if she's ready to step back into the circle to fight for more than herself. The fire in the teepee burns brighter, its warmth, a reminder of life of hope. Tala folds the map, her fingers steady despite the storm in her heart. She looks at Elias, then at Kota, and speaks, her voice clear. She says she needs time, just one night to think, to pray, to listen to the spirits. Kota nods, though his jaw is tight. Elias lowers his head, trusting her silence. Tala knows this moment is a turning point, a spark that will either save or doom them all. Outside, the wind stirs, carrying the scent of snow and danger. The Army's campfires glow closer, their light a challenge to the stars above. Tala steps outside the map, tucked inside her robe. She looks at the sky, searching for the constellations her daughter loved. The White Buffalo Woman's story echoes in her mind, a tale of sacrifice and unity. Tala's choice is not just about the map, but about who she is, who her people are. One piece of paper holds the fate of thousands. Will she destroy it and protect her village, or risk everything to warn the tribes and fight for justice? The night is still, but the air hums with possibility. Tala stands alone, her bow at her side, her heart a battlefield. The Lakota say every choice is a thread in the tapestry of life, weaving stories that echo through generations. Tala's thread is in her hands, and the pattern it forms will shape the future. The map is a secret, a weapon, a curse. What will Tala choose, and will it light the way, or burn the world she loves? The answer waits in the snow, in the fire, in the courage of a Lakota woman who dares to stand. The Dakota Territory holds its breath. The snow lies still glittering under a sky heavy with clouds. Tala's teepee glows like a beacon in the dawn, but the air hums with danger. Colonel Harlan's men are close their campfires, a red stain on the horizon. Tala stands outside her bow in hand, the stolen map tucked inside her robe. She's made her choice not to destroy it, but to use it to warn the tribes and fight for their future. Now she must outsmart an enemy who brings death in his shadow. Inside the teepee, Tala gathers Elias and Koda. Her voice is steady, like a river carving stone. She knows the land, every hill, every canyon, better than any soldier. She speaks of a narrow canyon nearby. Its walls, steep, its path, treacherous. If they can lure Harlan's men there, they can trap them. Tala's plan is bold. Set controlled fires to block the canyon's exits, forcing the soldiers to retreat. Koda's eyes spark with hope, but Elias hesitates. He knows Harlan's cruelty, the cost of failure, yet he nods, trusting Tala's fire, her courage. Koda suggests the village warriors join them, but Tala shakes her head. The village is divided, fear still gripping many hearts. She won't risk their lives until she knows the plan will work. Instead, she and Koda will set the trap, while Elias acts as bait. Drawing the soldiers into the canyon. Elias agrees, his face set like stone. He says he's caused enough pain, and if this saves Tala's people, it's worth his life. Tala meets his gaze, seeing not a stranger, but a man bound to her by shared loss, shared hope. They move quickly, the snow crunching under their feet. Tala leads them to the canyon, its walls rising like silent giants. She and Koda gather dry brush and stack it at the canyon's mouth, soaking it with oil from her teepee. The air smells sharp, like a promise of fire. Tala's hands are steady as she works her mind clear. She thinks of her daughter, who loved the stars, and her husband, who fought for their people. This is her fight now, not just for Elias, but for the Lakota, for the Cheyenne, for the circle of life. Elias takes his position on a ridge visible to the approaching soldiers. His silhouette is a challenge, a spark in the snow. Tala and Koda hide among the rocks, their bows ready, their breaths shallow. The sound of hooves grows louder, a drumbeat of war. Harlan's men appear, their blue coats stark against the white. The colonel rides at the front, his face cold, his eyes locked on Elias. Tala's heart pounds, but she waits, her arrow notched, her focus sharp as a blade. Elias shouts, his voice echoing through the canyon. He calls Harlan a coward, a butcher of children. The soldiers surge forward, their rifles raised, chasing him into the trap. Tala signals Koda, and they light the brush. Flames leap up, roaring like a living thing, sealing the canyon's entrance. The soldiers falter, their horses rearing, as smoke fills the air. Tala's plan is working, but the fight is far from over. Harlan's voice cuts through the chaos, ordering his men to press on to capture Elias at any cost. The soldiers split, some climbing the canyon walls, others pushing through the smoke. Tala and Koda move like shadows, their arrows finding targets with deadly precision. Elias fights too, his knife flashing as he dodges bullets. The canyon becomes a battlefield, snow-stained red, screams swallowed by the fire's roar. Tala's heart races, but her hands are steady. She thinks of Makawi's words. The fire of the heart burns stronger than any weapon. That fire drives her now aflame no soldier can extinguish. But then disaster strikes. Harlan's men flank, Kota catching him as he reloads. They drag him to the canyon's center, a rifle pressed to his head. Harlan steps forward, his voice like ice. He calls to Elias, demanding he surrender, or Kota dies. Tala, hidden behind a boulder, freezes. Her bow is aimed at Harlan, her arrow ready, but the shot is risky. If she misses, or if Harlan's men react, Kota's life is gone. Her brother's eyes meet hers, wide with fear, but steady with trust. He shakes his head silently, begging her to save Elias, to save the map. Tala's mind spins the world, narrowing to this moment. She could shoot Harlan, end his threat, but risk her brother's life. Or she could negotiate, offer something to buy time. The map burns against her chest, its weight a reminder of the stakes. Thousands of lives, Lakota and Cheyenne, depend on it. But Kota is her family, her blood, the last tie to her past. Tala's heart screams, but her Lakota spirit whispers, Mitakuye Oyasin, all are related. One life cannot outweigh the many, but losing Kota would break her. Elias steps forward, his hands raised, ready to surrender. He shouts to Harlan, offering himself to save. Kota! Tala's breath catches. She can't let Elias die, not after all they've shared, not when he's fought for her people. In a split-second choice, she lowers her bow and steps into the open, her voice ringing clear. She holds up the map, its leather glinting in the firelight. She offers it to Harlan in exchange for Kota's life. Her words calm but firm. The colonel's eyes narrow, greed flashing across his face. Harlan agrees, ordering his men to release. Kota Tala walks forward, her heart pounding and hands over the map, but her other hand, hidden in her robe, clutches a copy she made in the night, traced in secret by the fire. She meets Kota's eyes as he's freed, a silent promise passing between them. Harlan takes the map, his smile cold, but Tala's plan is only beginning. She signals Elias, who lunges at a soldier stealing his rifle. The canyon erupts in chaos, Tala and Kota diving for cover as bullets fly. From the ridge above, a war cry splits the air. Lakota warriors charge down, their spears and bows gleaming. Makawi stands among them, her voice a call to unity, her words echoing, the fire of the heart burns stronger than any weapon. The village, inspired by her wisdom, has chosen to fight to stand with Tala. The warriors move like a storm, their arrows cutting through the smoke. Harlan's men falter, caught between the fire and the Lakota's fury. Elias fights beside Tala, his loyalty a flame that matches her own. Tala moves through the chaos, her bow singing with every shot. She protects Kota, who fights with the strength of a warrior. Reborn. Elias takes a bullet to the shoulder, but keeps going, his eyes locked on Harlan. The colonel tries to flee, the map clutched in his hand, but Tala's arrow finds his horse, sending him crashing to the snow. The soldiers, outnumbered and trapped, begin to retreat, their shouts fading as the fire consumes the canyon's brush. The Lakota warriors press forward, their cries a song of victory. As the smoke clears, Tala stands in the canyon, her breath ragged, but her spirit unbroken. Kota is safe, his arm bruised, but his smile fierce. Elias leans against a rock, blood seeping from his wound, but alive. The map Harlan took is useless now, a decoy that buys Tala time. The real copy, hidden in her robe, will reach the Cheyenne, a warning that could save thousands. Tala looks at her people, their faces lit by the dying flames. They fought not just for Elias, but for the Lakota way, for the circle that binds them all. Makawi approaches, her eyes warm with pride. She touches Tala's shoulder, her voice soft but strong. She says, Tala's courage lit a fire that united the village, that showed them the power of compassion. Tala nods, her throat tight. She thinks of her daughter, of the stars, of the white buffalo woman's promise. The fire in the canyon is both destruction and renewal, a symbol of the Lakota spirit. Tala's choice to risk everything has forged a new path, one where her people stand taller, stronger together. The snow begins to fall again, soft and quiet, covering the blood and ash. Tala helps Elias stand, her hand steady on his arm. Kota joins them. His spear planted in the ground, a marker of their victory, the Lakota warriors gather, their faces weary but proud. The canyon, once a place of danger, is now a testament to their strength. Tala's heart is full, not with joy, but with purpose. She's no longer alone. No longer a woman hiding from her pain. She's part of the circle, and that circle is unbroken. The fight is won, but the war is not over. Harlan's men will regroup, and the map's warning must reach the Cheyenne. Tala knows the road ahead is hard, but she's ready. She's fought for her people, for Elias, for the future. The fire of her heart burns bright, a flame that no storm can extinguish. The Lakota say every battle leaves a story, and this one will echo through the generations, a tale of courage, of unity, of a woman who stood and refused to fall. The canyon lies quiet now, its snow stained with ash and memory. The Dakota Territory breathes again, the air soft with falling flakes. Tala stands among her people, her bow at her side, her heart still racing from the fight. Colonel Harlan's men have fled their retreat, a shadow fading into the hills. The Lakota warriors gather around, their faces weary but proud, their spears planted in the ground like promises. The fire in the canyon has died, but a new flame burns in the village, one kindled by courage, by unity, by Tala's choice. Tala turns to Elias, who leans against Kota, his shoulder wrapped in blood-soaked cloth. His face is pale, his breath shallow, but his eyes hold a quiet strength. The wound is deep, a bullet lodged where no knife can reach. Tala's heart tightens, fear creeping in. She saved him from the storm, from Harlan, but now she faces a new battle, one against time. She calls to Makawi, the wise woman whose hands have healed more wounds than the stars have seen. Together they carry Elias to the village, the snow crunching under their hurried steps. In Makawi's tipi, the air smells of sage and cedar, a sacred space of healing. Tala kneels beside Elias, her hands trembling as she helps Makawi clean the wound. The wise woman's voice is steady, her fingers deft as she works with herbs and cloth. She chants softly, a Lakota prayer to the spirits, asking for strength for life. Tala watches, her breath catching with every wince from Elias. She thinks of her daughter, lost to fever, her small body too weak to fight. She won't lose Elias, not now, not after everything. Makawi's hands move like a dance, guided by years of wisdom. She removes the bullet, her touch gentle but sure. Elias grits his teeth, his hand gripping Tala's, his pain, a silent bond between them. Tala whispers to him, her voice soft but fierce. She tells him to hold on, to fight, to live for his people, for her. Makawi binds the wound, her prayer rising like smoke. The spirits listen, and Elias's breathing steadies, his eyes fluttering open. He's alive, though. Scars will mark him, a map of survival etched on his skin. Tala steps outside the cold air, a balm to her racing heart. The village is alive with movement, warriors tending wounds, elders sharing food, children watching with wide eyes. The fight has changed them, woven their hearts closer. Kota approaches, his arm bandaged, but his smile bright. He says the council has spoken, moved by Tala's courage, by Makawi's call for unity. They've decided to accept Elias not as a stranger, but as an ally, a brother in the circle of life. Tala nods, relief washing over her like a warm wind. The council gathers that night, the tipi glowing under a star-filled sky. Tala stands before them, her voice clear, her spirit unbroken. She speaks of Mitakuye, Oyasin, the Lakota belief that all are related, that every life strengthens the whole. She says Elias's fight is their fight, that the Cheyenne and Lakota must stand together against the army's shadow. The elders listen, their faces soft with pride. They ask Tala to join the council, to lend her voice to their future, to advocate for peace between tribes. Tala hesitates, her solitude a familiar shield, but she agrees, knowing her daughter would want her to fight for others. The next morning, Tala sends a runner with the copied map, its lines a warning to the Cheyenne. The messenger rides, swift, carrying hope, to villages marked for death. Tala watches him disappear over the horizon, her heart heavy but sure. She's kept her promise to Elias, to her people, to the circle. The Cheyenne will know the army's plans, and together the tribes can prepare, can fight, can survive. Tala's choice, born in a storm, has sparked a fire that warms two nations. Tala walks to a quiet hill beyond the village, where a small circle of stones marks her daughter's memorial. She kneels, her fingers tracing the smooth rocks, each one placed with love. The wind carries her daughter's laughter, a memory that no longer cuts but heals. Tala speaks to her spirit, her voice soft but strong. She says she thought she lost her, but her daughter taught her to keep fighting, to protect others, to live for the circle. Tears fall, but they're warm like rain after a drought. Tala feels her daughter's presence a star, watching from above. Elias joins her, his step slow but steady, his shoulder bound in fresh cloth. He doesn't speak, just stands beside her, his neons a comfort. Tala looks at him, seeing not a Cheyenne scout, but a man who shares her scars, her hopes. They share a quiet moment, their breaths mingling in the cold air. Elias says he'll honor his sister's memory by fighting for peace for both their tribes. Tala nods, promising to do the same for her daughter. Together they vow to carry their people's stories, to keep the circle unbroken. The village thrives under a clear sky, its tipis standing tall, its fires burning bright. Tala walks among her people, no longer apart, but part of their heartbeat. She visits Makawee, who smiles her eyes like embers. The wise woman says, Tala's courage showed the village its own strength, that one act of compassion can change the world. Tala feels the truth of those words, a warmth that settles deep in her soul. She's not just a widow, not just a warrior, but a voice for her people, a light in the dark. Days later, word comes from the Cheyenne. They've received the map, and talks have begun between the tribes. Leaders meet under the stars, their voices weaving plans for unity, for resistance, for a future where their children can run free. Tala's example, her choice to save a stranger, has lit a spark that grows into a flame. The Lakota and Cheyenne stand stronger, their hearts joined by a shared fight, a shared dream. Tala feels pride not for herself, but for the circle she's helped strengthen. The final evening finds Tala sitting with the village children, their faces bright with wonder. She teaches them Lakota star stories, just as she did with her daughter. The children laugh, pointing at the sky, tracing constellations with small fingers. Tala tells the story of the white buffalo woman who brought the sacred pipe and taught the Lakota to live in harmony. The children listen, their eyes wide, their hearts open. Tala smiles, her daughter's legacy alive in their voices in the stars above. The night is clear, the stars a blanket of light over the Great Plains. The village sleeps, its fires glowing like promises kept. Tala stands at the edge of the hill, her bow resting against her shoulder, her heart full. She's faced storms, soldiers, and her own pain. But she's still here, still standing. Her choice to save Elias, to risk everything, has woven a new story. One of courage, of unity, of hope. The Lakota way, Mitakuye Oyasin, lives in her people, in the future they'll build. Tala's journey began with a stranger in the snow, a spark in the dark. That spark grew into a fire that warmed two nations, that showed the world the strength of a woman's heart. In the Lakota way, all are related, and one act of courage can change everything. Tala looks at the stars, her daughter's laughter echoing in the wind. She knows the fight isn't over, that shadows will come again, but she's ready, not alone, but with her people, with Elias, with the circle that holds them all. The Great Plains stretch wide, their beauty a song of survival. Tala's story is not just hers, but the story of the Lakota, of the Cheyenne, of every heart that dares to fight for what's right. Her fire burns bright, a light that no darkness can touch, and as the stars shine, they whisper a truth. One choice, one spark can light the way for generations. Tala's legacy, her daughter's legacy, lives on in the stories, in the stars, in the unbreakable spirit of her people. Tala's story is a spark that lights our hearts. The Lakota philosophy of Mitakuye Oyasin, all are related, reminds us we're connected not just to each other, but to the earth, the stars, the stories we share. Her courage shows us every choice matters, every act of compassion can change the world. Today, we can live that truth by listening, learning, and standing up for what's right. Dive into Native American cultures, hear their stories, and let their wisdom guide you. Share your own tales of kindness, of fighting for your community. What spark will you light? If Tala's journey moved, you hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. In the comments, tell us what would you do to protect your people, your home. Your voice matters. Let's keep the fire burning together. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.